So my speech is on whether or not we think we should start schools at a later time. And on a website I searched called debate.com, they took a poll on whether or not schools should start later or not. 79% of the votes said yes, and 21% of them said no. One person who voted said, yes, school should start later. Students are extremely stressed in the mornings and are rushing to get out on time. That way they don't have, since they get out at a later time, they don't have a good breakfast and they don't have time to review their studies, and they have to get to school tired and depressed. Sometimes even after all that, they're still late. If school started 45 minutes later and ended 45 minutes later, all that could stop. Students would get more sleep, would have a good breakfast, would have time to review their studies, thus getting better marks, and they would even be less depressed. Just shifting the school time by 45 minutes would make a huge difference and solve countless problems. I believe that all schools who are not already starting at 9 o'clock should make the change today. Now, what I think of this is I find it true. If I do have time in the morning to eat breakfast, it's usually something small, like maybe a piece of toast or something. And maybe just some tea or whatever, which means that within the first couple of periods, I'm already hungry again, which makes it even harder to concentrate, because I'm so focused on food. But one person who voted against starting school at a later time said, schools fine the way it is. If you went later, that would put kids that are in sports home later, and they would be missing supper times, homework time, and family time. There's no reason to start later. People have to get up and go to work early all the time. No reason kids can't do that in school. In this statement, I can relate to it because I also used to do sports, and when I did, I'd be getting out of the sport at 6:30, 7 o'clock every night, and I would already have missed dinner, and I had been so tired that I would fall asleep while doing homework. Now, recently, I made a survey and asked you guys on your thoughts about school and starting it later and whatnot. And 8 out of 9 of you said, yes, we should. And on average, you guys said between 8:30 and 9 is when we should start. I'd also asked how long it took you guys to do your homework. And on average, it ranged from 45 minutes to 2 hours. So let's say that you're a student who stays after for clubs or a meeting with the teacher, and you take the 3 o'clock bus home. You're getting home at about 3:10, 3:15. When you get home, you're probably hungry, so you're gonna make yourself something to eat. That's what I do. So you're really starting homework at around 3:30, and if you're lucky and you didn't have a lot of homework, you're finishing at about 4:15, which isn't bad, but let's say you have a lot of homework and you have a test you have to study for the next day, you're gonna be finishing at about 5:30, which in my household is just in time for dinner. Now, let's say you play sport. You get home at about 6:30. Earliest you finish your homework is 7:15. And the latest is 8:30. So if people are worried about school starting later and causing them to finish everything later, homework has been causing this for a while. And on my survey, the last question asked how you guys would take action in trying to persuade the district into starting school later. And a few of you said that your plans would consist of supporting the PTA and getting people to sign petitions, which, in my opinion, is a great way to take action in a nice, calm way. But we would need a lot of signatures, which would need to include more than just students, because obviously students would like that. And we would also need people with direct lines to PTA, like family members or something. That way it would be easier to convince them to support us. Now, on another website I did some research on, it's called startschoollater.net. There is an organization called Healthy Hours, which is a registered nonprofit organization comprised of healthy professionals. sleep scientists, educators, parents, students, and other concerned citizens, working to ensure that all public schools start later. Sorry.